Morning, y'all. How's everybody doing this morning? Ah, happy Saturday. I didn't forget about you guys this morning. We'll find something interesting to talk about this morning. It is 5:58 a.m. Pacific time here in Las Vegas. Just poured my coffee too. So I don't know where you are and what part of the world. I would imagine that if you're in Vegas, you're probably not up right now. It's kind of early, but for those of you who are just now getting up, I'm right there with you. I got a couple of early morning readings to do today, so I'm going to have to, when I get off of here, I can't be on here forever. I got some ones due early this morning. So anyway, yep, I got me another busy old work day today. But today I'm working on my car. Today I'm working on my car, my baby. She's getting a makeover. What are y'all up to? Oh, from Ohio and Texas. Right on. Right on. We thought about moving to Texas. We thought about it. That would be a big move, though. We were looking at it, and I think the drive it would be like an 11-hour drive. And we didn't want to pack up our whole house and drive a moving truck 11 fucking hours. So that's why we looked at some other surrounding areas and, couldn't really find anything we liked in Utah. First, we wanted to go to Utah, and then we went and stayed and checked out a little city in Utah just for the hell of it one weekend, and ended up deciding against that. Anyway, though, I'm still nervous about that. We're moving in April. I'm nervous, man. It'll be all right, though. It'll be fun. Don't want to get too comfortable. That's the thing. And man, I'm gonna tell you, time has flown. I know we talk about this all the time, so I'm not going into how fast time flies. But the point that I'm making is that because time has flown so fast, it feels like we just moved in here a couple of months ago. That's what it feels like. It was 3 years ago. How the fuck? I got comfortable, man. Back then, when we first moved in here, I was kind of accustomed to that. That's just how life was. Stay somewhere for a couple of months, then bounce. Stay there for a couple of months, then bounce. I was just used to that. And now I've been here for 3 years and got all comfortable and shit, Anywho, it's flying, boy. That's cool, though. That's so cool. And I know it's not just me. Though, because everybody says it. Even people younger. Because what they say is time flies faster the older you get. So I'm thinking, well, I am 35 now. Is that why it feels like time is flying fast? But I hear everybody saying that. Back in the 90s when I was a kid, time went slow. God damn. We'd be in school for 180 days was our school year. And that felt like an eternity. And at no point when I was a kid did it ever feel like time was flying fast. Ever. Now, I'm awake right now. Here I am. I'm awake. This is my morning routine. And then, it's going to be time to go to bed. And that's just the way life is, I guess. I guess that's just the way it is. Anywho, what y'all up to? Yeah, we are shifting timelines. That's right. Yeah, we are shifting timelines. Yes, I do believe in twin flames. I think that is a very misunderstood concept in the spiritual community, like most other things in the spiritual community. Like most other concepts, everybody, like, what we have to do is we have to very carefully and strategically disambiguate some of these fluffy duffy terms. Because you know what the problem is? Everybody is in such a hurry to conflate spirituality with romance. That's the problem. That's everybody always thinks anytime they hear a term like soulmate or soul connection, the first thing they want to do is conflate that with romance. And you know that what we are at our source, we care about much, much more than human romance. Much more. Much, much more. So to answer that question, yes, I do believe in twin flames. I just don't think it's what most people think it is. Anyway, let me hang on a second. I'm turning my heater off. It's hot. I want to get some more light in here too, y'all. Hold up. There we go. There we go. Anywho, man, I can barely see the comments. Let me adjust y'all real quick. Hang on. I got to figure out a better setup than this whenever we move to my new studio. Dude, actually, no, I really want to get a new camera. I've been fighting the urge to buy a new nice like fucking cinema camera or something like that. So I've just been keeping it modest here. Anyway, there we go. That's better. That's better. Can you hear me clearly? Anyway, there we go. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's flowing faster. Whatever the fuck it is. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is. And I mean, it does have a lot to do too, because it is just at the end of the day, it is perception anyway. You know, because time does go slower when you're not feeling good. And you got to think about it. If you really want to think about back in the day during the times where the vibrations were at the lowest vibrations of 3D, that didn't really fucking feel good. It really didn't. It really didn't feel good. Now, me being somebody who hasn't spent too many lifetimes on Earth, I don't know. Took me forever to figure out how to play that game the right way. Because me, like a lot of other volunteers who haven't really been to Earth too many times, we assume that, you know, the goal is comfort. We assume that. So we get in here and we start looking around at this fucking Earth game, and the first thing we do is we start trying to run from everything that doesn't feel good and try to run for comfort. And I think that's kind of what like we all do at our source anyway, but it's just that the long-term humans who built this game, like they know that they built this game very strategically and deliberately. Because do y'all, okay, listen, you remember the post that I put up? Where was that at? Actually, I think I put it on my main channel on my shorts feed, where if you break a bone, that bone never goes back to its exact dimensions. I mean, they can set it straight, but you can always x-ray it and see, that bone was broken at one point. You know, anytime something is ever broken, it doesn't ever go back to exactly what it used to be, including you. Like so many people, I hear this question all the time in personal readings. How can I let go and move on? And it's like, that's not what you're supposed to do. It's not what you're supposed to do at all. And I had a client the other day, yesterday or the day before, say something to the effect of, will I ever feel the way I used to feel again? I just want to feel normal. And I said, no, you won't. No, you're not supposed to. We're not supposed to go backwards. We come here to Earth for one reason and one reason only, to grow and evolve. How do you do that? Anybody know how? How do you do that? How do you grow? How do you evolve? You get broken and rebuilt, and broken and rebuilt, and broken and rebuilt, and broken and rebuilt. That's how you grow and evolve. That's how it's done. Now, after a certain point, you learn how to consciously lean into that. Once you learn that that's the point, I think that's one of the things. I've never heard anybody in the spiritual community talking about this. Now, I'm not telling you anything new. The stuff I'm telling you, you can hear from any motivational speaker or fitness instructor or whatever the case may be. But I the last I looked, I didn't see anybody in the spiritual community who was conflating that with spiritual evolution. And it's the exact same damn thing. It's the exact same thing. Energy transmutation, that's the same thing. Same thing. You get hurt, you take that hurt, that pain, you use it to create something new. And then once you create something new, you're like, oh, sweet. Well, fucking A, I'm glad that thing happened then. That's the way it's done. And you keep building and growing and building. And then once you understand that that's the point, then it's easier to kind of lean into that discomfort and run to it. It's easier to do that. So we got to figure out how this damn game is played in order to play through it. That's what I always tell. That's what I always tell my star seeds, man. I think a lot of the volunteers, a lot of the star seeds, they think they're going to come in here and rip this game apart and flip it upside down overnight. It's like, no, sorry, you ain't going to do that, man. Sorry. No, it's not going to be that easy. The beings who have been here putting this game together have spent, God damn, you can't even wrap your mind around how many fucking lifetimes they've been here at every corner and every facet of this game, designing it so fucking strategically and deliberately. Ain't no damn volunteer starseed gonna come in here and flip this game on its head overnight. It's not gonna work that way. We have to learn how to play the human game. Learn the point of the damn human game. Pick you a long-term human and listen to them. Listen to how the game is played and get in there and figure out how to play it. Now, while you're in there playing the game, that's when you can do little tweaks, plant little seeds, and slowly, because it was put together slowly. The third dimension was put together slowly over time. Now, the fifth dimension is going to have to be fucking put together slowly over time as well. But in order to do that, it's kind of like working on a car, kind of like redesigning a car. See what I'm saying? You can't take somebody that has no fucking clue how a car works and say, okay, well, redesign my engine. I want you to go out and give me an LS swap. Well, I don't even know how engines work. Well, then you need to fucking learn. You see what I'm saying? You need to learn the inner workings of it. So anyway, I don't even remember where I was going with that. We just be babbling in the mornings, y'all. I love this shit. It gets my brain so fired up. But I only have about 40 or 50 minutes before I got to get started on another reading. So then, speaking of cars, I'm going to be working on my car today. Y'all, for those of y'all that know my car, you know the green accent colors that I put on it. I have my I have a 6th generation Camaro SS, and I have it's all black, but I put green accent colors on it. So I had these 2 hood vents that go down the hood. I got them lime bright green. And then I had the and everybody, dude, everywhere I go, everybody says that my car looks like a Monster energy drink because I had the claw marks going down, the you ever see the people, they put the claw mark on the headlight? Everybody always makes fun of me and calls me Kyle for that too. Looks like Kyle got a hold of your car. I put the green claw marks down the headlight. And everybody says it makes it look like a Monster energy drink. Well, I'm changing the accent colors. This is what I'm doing today. Let's see if I can find a good picture of it. For those of you who've never seen it, what I'm changing, I'm switching it over. Hang on. I'll go to my Facebook. All right, here we go. Look. Okay, here's a good one. Here's a good one. See? Can you see that? You see all the green accent colors? I got the green hood vents, the green claw marks on the headlight, and I had the green SS logo and the green tow hook. And those accent colors, I'm changing to a different color. I'm doing that today. Y'all probably don't give a damn, but shit, here in my world, I'm a boring dude. I don't do much, man. So a day to spend outside working on my car is fun. That's fun stuff. Anyway, though, I think it's fun. That's just one of the things that I've always wanted to be able to do. Buy a car that I love just so I can play with it. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was really, and that's the funny thing too, because I'm not into racing anymore, but I have a fast car. And when I was in my like 18, 19, 20, I loved racing and I loved fast cars, but I never owned a car that was really fast. I mean, I would get a little four banger, some little four banger, and I would do things to increase the horsepower, and I would race it. And if you know how to drive, that's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people understand about cars. If you know how to drive, and and drive, especially a manual transmission, you can beat a lot of cars if you know how to drive them right. But I would always play with them and modify them. And I couldn't really afford to. Sometimes I would be spending money that I couldn't afford to spend, putting little modifications on them, and just, I couldn't really afford to do what I wanted exactly how I wanted. And it's like, now I can. I'm not into racing anymore, even though I have a car that was designed for racing and it's quick. But it's fun. I like to be able to sit at home and play with it and modify it. So anyway, no, I'm not going deep forest green. No, not doing all that. I'm not a big fan of deep forest green unless it's my workout clothes. That military green, you mean? I wear that kind of shit to work out in, but I wouldn't like that on my car. I wouldn't like that. It's gonna look kind of mean. Now, when I first bought the car, it was all blacked out, and I thought that was boring looking as fuck. And Leah loved it. She goes, "Oh, it's so good, all blacked out." And it's like, it's boring. It just blends in. You don't even notice it. You don't even see it. Like, I wanted to make it to where it's not too outlandish, but during rush hour traffic, you would notice me. Like, whoa. Imagine you're sitting in like bumper to bumper rush hour traffic, 2 lanes going this way, like slow as shit. You're sitting here. I'm right here. I'm coming this way. You're going to notice my car. I'm like, whoa, cool. That's all I really wanted to do. I wanted to stand out just a little bit, but not too obnoxious. Like my exhaust. I have an MBRP exhaust. It's loud, but it's not so loud that it's fucking annoying. Yes, you can hear me coming down the street. Yes, you can hear it. It's loud. But those ones that are so fucking loud, you have to stop your conversation because you can't, like, you'd be standing like having a conversation with somebody at a storefront, and all of a sudden and it's like a lot of Mustangs do this. It's so stupid, obnoxious, annoyingly loud that you and the person you're talking to have to stop and shut up and wait for it to pass. It's not that loud. It's not that loud. Now, I don't want it that loud. Just a little bit. Just enough to where it stands out and you notice it. You know what I'm saying? It's all about balance and moderation. So, no, I thought it was boring, all blacked out the way I bought it. If you go to my Facebook and you dig through my pictures, I posted some pictures of it when it was all blacked out. I thought that was boring as shit. I want it to be, noticeable. Anyway, not PTSD loud. No. I mean, you just have to see it in real life. It's loud. I'm not saying it's not, but if you were standing on your front porch having a conversation with your friend and I drove past, you would not have to shut up. You would hear it and you'd be like, whoa, it's just not so loud that it's annoying. I don't know how to explain it. If you could imagine that middle ground between silent and so fucking stupid loud that it's annoying. It's in the middle there, Anyway, what y'all up to? What y'all up to? No, as a matter of fact, that's what everybody used to call my car, was the Batmobile when I first bought it. Said it looked like a Batmobile, and it kind of sort of did a little bit. The 6th gen Camaros All it is a Corvette with back seats. That's all it is. That's really all it is. You got the same engine. And that's just all they really did. They said, we want to make I guess, a cheaper, more affordable Corvette. So we'll just take the Corvette and give it some back seats and call it a Camaro and sell it. He's got the same fucking engine. Same engine. Actually, come to think of it, I think the Corvette had a 7-speed manual transmission, which is just too much. I got a 6-speed, and that 6 gear is useless unless you're on the highway. the six gear is just overdrive. You put it into 6 gear when you're going on the highway, and it kicks it into 4-cylinder mode. Saves gas. It's pretty cool. On the highway, it does good on gas. Around town, it's fucking terrible, dude. It fucking guzzles gas. I don't really care though, because I'm not broke anymore, so I can afford it. But oh, it's horrible. When I first got it, when I first bought it, I mean, even though I can afford it, I'm not one of those, I'm not struggling to have gas money. I still was like, God damn, you can watch the fucking needle move. I could go like drop my kids off at daycare and then come home and then see the needle fucking move. And I'm like, God damn, dude. But on the highway, a totally different story. You get on the highway, like we got on the highway going to Bullhead City, Arizona, and that's about an hour drive from Vegas. And kick it into 6 gear, does good. Only burn like a quarter tank of gas. Only burn like a quarter tank. Driving that thing for like an hour. I was like, damn, because it shuts off 4 of the cylinders and kicks it into 4-cylinder mode. So it gets like 30 something miles, 27, 30 miles a gallon, something like that. Anyway, though, I'm sure y'all don't want to just hear about my car. I don't really ever get to talk about it. I try to talk about it to Leah, and then she goes, okay, now you're just talking dude talk. Sounds like Chinese to me. And it won't even be complicated shit, like talking about the exhaust. Like the most simple thing on the whole car. The pipe that goes from the engine to the back of the car. It's just a pipe. That's all it is. Like I'm trying to explain this to her. And she's like, oh, nope, you're speaking dude talk to me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway, though. Anywho. Let's see what you say. Thoughts on teaching an anxious person not to identify with being anxious? No, that's not. I don't know if I would look at it like that. The way I always teach how to let go of anxiety, because I was diagnosed with severe clinical anxiety and severe clinical depression. I have 2 suicide attempts on my record. The way I always explain this is, first of all, we have to understand what is anxiety. What is it? And believe me, I knows about some anxiety. Believe me, it was so horrible. When I was homeless, that's why I drank 1 whole gallon of vodka a day. That was just my anxiety medication. That's it. It got to the point where I wouldn't even get me drunk. It just made me feel normal. Like I can remember I ran into this dude on the streets and he goes, hey man, you got anything? And I'm like, I don't do nothing like that. I drink. And I pulled, it was lunchtime. It was lunchtime. And I opened up my coat and I pulled a 5th out that I had. And I gave him 2 shots and he started acting loopy. I'm like, you drunk already? And he goes, shit, I don't drink, man. It's the first drink I've had in like 6 months. And then I stopped and realized I'm halfway through my 2nd 5th. I'm not even drunk yet. It's lunchtime. Oh shit, that's not normal. I remember when I had that thought. Anyway, though, so trust me, I knows about some anxiety. Anyway, you got to think about what is anxiety. Anxiety is fear of losing control. That's it. We got to narrow it down to a little pinpoint. That's the seed that blooms into anxiety, is the fear of losing control or something happening out of your control. At the end of the day, it's the ego desperately wanting control. Okay? The ego, let's talk about the ego. Okay? The ego loves to know what's coming. Nothing makes the ego feel better than to know what's coming and to know how to navigate what's coming. Right? Wouldn't you say that when you feel you're at your most relaxed, it's when you have this picture in your mind of exactly what the future is going to look like and exactly every little step you need to take, and that you are so calm and so relaxed. Okay? Here's the problem though. The ego doesn't really know what's fucking coming. It really doesn't. And I think we all learned this when 2020 struck, didn't we? We all had a real good idea of what the future was going to hold. And we were proving that the ego doesn't fucking know what the hell's coming, does it? So it's the desire to lose, the desire to have control and the fear of losing control or just not knowing what's coming. So the ego immediately defaults to the worst case scenario. That's what the ego does. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to detect threat and keep you safe from threat, from harm, whatever. Well, the way I learned how to get rid of anxiety was I manifested my worst fucking nightmares. That's how I learned. My biggest fear was losing everything and going homeless. That was my biggest fear. And I walked with my gut in a knot, so scared of losing everything, losing my kids, going homeless, and being a worthless deadbeat daddy. That was my biggest fear. And then when it happened, I was like, okay, well, here I am. Here it is. La! And slowly over time, what I learned, now the anxiety didn't go away overnight, but what I learned was, okay, well, obviously having that anxiety in the driver's seat, calling the shots and making decisions for me didn't work. Matter of fact, you know what it did? It manifested what I was worried about. See, when you make a decision, the energy that influences your decision is pumping that energy into the matrix. And the matrix is giving it back to you. So when we're making decisions based on and influenced by fear, nervousness, and anxiety, the matrix gives you back situations and scenarios that harmoniously resonate with fear, nervousness, and anxiety. And eventually, if you keep it up, you will manifest what you're worried about. Oh, yes, you will. If you keep it up. So I found myself laying in the pit of that shit. So I was like, well, having anxiety in the driver's seat, controlling me, didn't fix anything. Didn't fix anything. So you know what? Anxiety is going to take a back seat. And you know, that little anxious voice. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I do if this happens? Well, how do I prevent that from happening? Well, what if I do this? Will this happen? Put it in the back seat. It's no longer calling the shots. So here's what happens. Here's the funny thing. When fear and anxiety sits in the back seat, it's still in your ear. Oh, it's still in your ear, but it's not calling the shots and making decisions anymore. What if this thing happens? Well, then it fucking happens. Oh, well, let it happen. When you get to that point, guess what happens? Nothing. Nothing. When you really get to that point to where it's like, oh my God, what if this thing happens? Well, then it happens. Fucking let it. I wish it would. Let it happen. I wish it would happen. That bad worst case scenario. Fucking let it happen. Let's do it. All of a sudden, things start working out. And over a certain period of time, see, the ego, well, okay, here's the point that I'm getting at. The ego needs to understand that not only was it never in control, but it doesn't need, nor does it want to be in control. But the ego doesn't understand that. It thinks that it has to control everything. So after a while, when we put that anxiety in the back seat and it's no longer making decisions, somehow everything starts fucking working out. Everything starts working out. And then over time, slowly, the ego starts to see, well, it seems to somehow work out better when I don't try to control it. That's weird. And then over time, it goes down and down and down and down and down to the point to where after about a year, maybe a year and a half, the ego sees I don't need to be in control. There's something else out there that has my back. And if I just get the fuck out of the way and stop worrying about what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, what I need to do if it happens, stop worrying about that. Something bigger than me has my back. I don't need to be in control. And then you'll start noticing it down and down and down and down to the point to where I haven't been anxious for no reason for about 5 years. So I wouldn't really, whoever said that, I wouldn't look at it from the perspective of identifying as being anxious, even though that's good. I wouldn't say that, I am anxious. I'm anxious. That's, you want to get rid of that mantra. But I would look at it more from the perspective of the ego needs to understand that it's not in control. That's the problem. See, the ego analytical thinking brain is nothing but a record of past experiences. That's all this thing is. The only thing that this brain was designed to do was collect data from the past and try to concoct some defense mechanism to keep you safe from danger. That's what this thing does. So, for some reason, though, it thinks it's much smarter than it is. So, it thinks that it can plan for and prepare for things that are unlike anything it has ever experienced before, and it can't. All it can do is plan for and keep recreating things that are like experiences that it's already had in the past. That's all it can do. It can recreate and plan for things that have already happened, but it doesn't know what the fuck to do when it comes to something that's unlike anything it's ever experienced before. For some reason, it's convinced that it has the ability to do that. And in its desperate attempt to gain control, it freaks itself out. Dumps fucking stress hormones into the body, all day, every day. And that's the ego slowly but surely over time needs to understand that it never was in control. The only thing it can do when it tries to be in control is fuck everything up and fulfill its own worries and whatnot. So that's the way I always that's the way. And so far from what I've heard, I've gotten some testimonials that works. It's not an overnight process. At least it wasn't for me. And I'm never the type to say that something's impossible, but I wouldn't bank on it being an overnight process. Let's put it that way. For me, I took about a year and a half before I started noticing. Now that's when I started noticing it. Maybe it didn't take that long. I just noticed that it was about a year and a half of me just completely letting go and saying, fuck it. About a year and a half after that is when I first noticed, holy shit, I'm not nearly as anxious as I used to be. And, over time, now here I am, 7 years later, so fucking chillaxed and chilled that, Anyway, though, hopefully that was helpful. That's the meaning of these little chats in the morning, though. Hopefully we hit on a topic that somebody can take with them throughout their day that will help improve their day. That's my goal. So let's see. I got about 30 more minutes on here. Yeah, they call me Kyle. everybody calls me Kyle when I roll up. I don't give a fuck, man. I think my car looks awesome. You can call me all the names you want. I don't give a shit. I just don't race though. I raced one time. I did finally race my car. And I guess what I didn't account for before I bought it was obviously it looks and sounds aggressive. So everybody automatically thinks that you want to race when you're in a car like that. Everybody. And that would just kind of blow my mind. I can understand another sports car or a muscle car or something like that. Okay, whatever. But some of the goofiest looking little fucking everyday ass cars would be pulling up next to me trying to race me. And I was like, there's no way they're trying to race me. You look stupid in your 2010 Chevy fucking Blazer or some shit like that, or your little Toyota Corolla. Like, what are you doing? And finally, this just happens to me every fucking where I go. I ignore it now, pretty much for the most part. But at one point, I was like, "There's no way these people are trying to fucking race me." So finally, I was leaving Circus. Actually, this was the day that I interviewed Ariel Hooper. Remember that? I went and I met up with her in the Circus parking lot downtown, and we did a little interview inside her van. And this is when I was leaving. I was leaving the Circus parking lot, and this goofy little fucking blue Honda Civic tried to race me. And I was like, okay, are you really trying to race me? Okay, let's do it then. Man, I smashed this little Honda Civic, dude. Smashed. And we were doing well over 100 mile an hour downtown. But it was clear streets. There was like no traffic on the road. It was in the morning. And I was like, wow, I guess these people they really assume that just because you are behind a steering wheel and you're on four wheels, that makes you fast, I guess. But that's the only time I ever raced my car. I didn't buy it to race it, It's not what I bought it for. I bought it because it looks cool and it sounds cool. That's why I bought it. And it's fast if I need it to be fast. It's not the fastest one on the road. The fastest Camaro, the fastest stock Camaro is the ZL1. It's supercharged. And that's the first thing everybody always asks me. Are you going to get it supercharged? Gonna put a supercharger on it, dude? Go get a supercharge? Go get a supercharger, dude? And I'm like, no. The fuck do I need that for? I'm not taking it to the track. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand if racing is a hobby of yours and you go to the track every single weekend, I can understand like souping it up and adding all this extra horsepower to it and whatnot. But if you're just either just a daily driver, you just drive to and from work, what the fuck do you need all that extra horsepower for? What do you need that for? I don't understand that. Oh man, it's supercharged, it pushes out 750 horsepower, and yeah, it's fast. And I'm like, well, what do you do with it? What do you do with all that horsepower? Mine's fast enough when I need it to be fast. If I need to go fast, my little baby will fucking shit and get, boy. First gear, red lines at 60 miles an hour. I can go from 0 to 60 in first fucking gear, dude. I don't need nothing no faster than that, You fucking crazy. Shit. Ego. Yeah. Something like that. I don't know. But like, if traffic's going slow or like if I'm in a hurry and traffic's real busy and I got to pull out into traffic, if I need it to be fast, it's fast enough, So anyway, I'm looking forward to today. I get to work on it. I'm not telling you yet the color I'm changing it to. I will say this though. It's a color that is not one of my favorite colors. Not really. But there's some important energetic properties behind this color. So that's the reason why I'm picking it. Anyway, though. Anywho. Oh, was that the Kyle voice? Okay, yeah. I would imagine. I would imagine. So anyway, y'all got anything else fun going on this morning? Before I boot, scoot, and boogie? Hang on. Anywho. Y'all got anything fun going on this morning? How is the weather where y'all are? I know that's kind of a cliche topic, but here in Vegas, it's been kind of teasing us a little bit. It's February. Every Vegas February I've ever experienced is always warmer than normal. I spent my 29th birthday here in Vegas. This is before we lived here, though. And it was 80 fucking degrees. 80 degrees. And last year on my birthday, it was a good 70, 75 degrees. But this year, for some reason, it's fucking cold. It's a chilly billy out there, boy. 25 degrees. Oh man. Huh. I bet it is beautiful in Colorado. I think wintertime, that's one of the prettiest fucking states is Colorado in the winter. Fucking snow-covered mountains and shit. I'm a sucker for that shit, man. I love it. We thought about moving there too. Again, another long ass drive because we're gonna have to hire movers. And we don't want to hire movers to drive like 12 fucking hours, So it's probably already going to cost us. We're thinking probably about $6,000 just to hire movers to drive us to California, Whatever. But I mean, if we really want to take a look at it, I think that, and I've had that little voice in the back of my head, we're supposed to be in California. We're being pushed in that direction. We are being pushed in that direction. Like I said last time, I got 2 big things I'm doing with my career and 2 small things. And I'm kind of irritated because one of my little small projects I've been working on, I still haven't had the time to fucking work on it. I've been so busy. Oh, well, though, that'll come out when the time is right. So, but yeah. And not only that, but I think I've already got 2 big things I'm doing with my career and any other opportunities. So many other opportunities in California, Southern California. So that's where, like, anytime you fucking open up YouTube, and most of the most popular fucking podcasters for some reason are all in Southern California, So I'm all down. I think it's time in my career to really start embracing collaboration. I think it's really time to start embracing that. Stepping outside of my comfort zone. The only reason I like, I've collabed with people before, but it's weird. It makes me nervous because I'm not a social person. I'm really not. And I identify that as a character defect. I need to be more social. So if I need to be more social, what am I going to do? I have 1 or 2 choices. I can either be a little bitch and hide behind my anxiety, or I can lean into my anxiety over and over and over and over and over and over and over until it goes away. Because that's what happens. I didn't come here to just stay in my comfort zone. You know what my biggest fear is? My biggest fear is being fucking 80 years old, laying on my deathbed, looking back and thinking, damn, I wish I would have done that. That's my biggest fear. Do I want to be 80 years old, laying on my deathbed and thinking, oh, well, I was too scared to do that. Or my anxiety I couldn't do that because of my anxiety. No. I think social anxiety, like I was telling y'all, general anxiety, we were talking about a minute ago, I've proven that I can kick the shit out of that. Now, social anxiety, that's the next one that I'm going after. How do you do it? Just keep doing it over and over and over and over. Like the podcast that I started. Remember the interviews I was doing on that channel that one time? Dude, that was so uncomfortable. I mean, there was a couple of times where I would be sitting there sweating. I'd have to get in the shower when I was done. It was so uncomfortable sitting there talking to a stranger that I don't know. But every interview I did got a little bit easier, a little bit easier, a little bit easier, and a little bit easier. And now, like we were doing those group manifestation coaching calls, And that turned out to be fucking awesome, dude. I've heard so many amazing testimonials from so many people. And anyway, I wouldn't even have been able to do that had I not done that podcast. I wouldn't even been able to do that. See what I'm saying? Oh, and especially when I interviewed Dr. Evan Alexander. Oh my God. Dude, you know how fucking nervous I was when I did that? And that pretty much just came to me. I didn't even pursue that. The videographer for IANS, the International Association of Near-Death Studies, somehow the videographer for IANS found out who I am, and how he found out who I am, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't understand. I don't know. Anyway, he asked to interview me on his little podcast channel. And so I agreed, and I was doing a little interview. And then somehow, some of the biggest, most famous names in the spiritual community, he was telling me who all he's gotten to work with. And Eben Alexander came up, and I was like, that's fucking cool, man. I've been an Eben Alexander fan since like damn near day one, because my first steps on the spiritual path started by researching near-death experiences. In my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I think that if I want to learn something about the nature of this reality and what's beyond this reality, I'm going to listen to some people who have been there. So if you do anything other than that, I think you're an idiot, you know? Anyway, though, and he goes, "Oh, you like Eben?" Yeah, he's like, "I've worked with him a couple of times," and he said, I'll put your name in for him," or something like that. I'll put your name in that you're interested in working with him. We'll see if you can get an interview. And I'm like, what? What the fuck? So I got the interview with him. I got to do an interview, and I was so scared, y'all. Oh my God, I was scared. I was sitting there all nervous and sweating and shit. Didn't even really know what questions to ask him. And I was fucking nervous, dude, because he's one of those people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been a fan of him since shit, dude. Since I very first stepped onto my path. Y'all know who he is, right? Yeah. I personally think, my personal opinion is that he is probably one of the most valuable assets to the spiritual community. Because for those of you who don't know, he was an academic neurosurgeon. Spent his whole life. He even taught neurosurgery at Harvard Medical School. Spent his whole life dedicated, and his dad, same thing. His whole life revolved around studying the brain chemistry, brain science, brain surgery. He was a brain surgeon. And he thought that, he was one of those reductive materialist scientists who just believe that the brain creates consciousness. And once the brain dies, that's it. You're done. You come here into this world, your brain creates your consciousness. And then when you die, you poof, there's nothing left. And he had a near-death experience. And he came back from it. And he was like, whoa. He's reading his chart. He's studying everything that happened to him. And he's like, yeah, what we thought we knew about the brain is wrong. Take it. If you're going to listen to anybody, because there's so many arguments. And that's one thing that gets on my damn nerves so much. There's so many arguments from people, who are atheists and whatnot. And they give their little, and they're so simple-minded, man. These fucking atheists. It's like you believe that either A, there's a dude sitting in the clouds, or B, there's nothing. Like, really? That's the when you say, do you believe in life after death? The first thing that they paint in their mind is an old dude sitting in the clouds and a mean horned devil guy underground. And you think that when it comes to life after death, that's the only option there is? Anyway, I'm trailing off. So there's so many arguments going around about, whether or not there is a God and this and that. And I'm like, dude, I don't think anybody has room to get in there and fucking actually debate and argue this. And this dude has the credentials, man. He has the credentials. He dedicated his whole life to fucking learning the brain. And he comes out of it And he's like, I have proof that the brain does not create consciousness. Proof. So for those of you who don't know, you should just listen to him tell it. He tells it so much better. His name is Eben Alexander. EbenAlexander. Eben. It's kind of a weird name, but anyway, though. Yeah, I was super nervous when I interviewed him, dude. Super nervous. And it always reminds me, because I fucking forget that people are fans of me. I forget that. So anytime I'm talking to like a subscriber, like out in public or something, they act all nervous. And I'm like, why are you acting nervous? Until I get to talk to somebody that I'm a fan of, and it makes me nervous. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's why. Dude, this is the funniest thing. Me and Leah went to eat at this little Italian restaurant right up the street from my house. And we go in there, we sat down because we've been driving past it. Like, I want to try that little Italian joint, you know? I love Italian. It's like my favorite. So, you know how when you sit down at a restaurant, first the dude comes up to you and says, you want some water? They pour you some water. This little dude walked up to pour us water, and it looked like he just shit his pants. Like he stopped and he went. And I'm like, you okay, bro? This little dude about shit his pants. And he goes, aren't you? Aren't you? I'm like, oh, do you watch me on YouTube? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's me. He goes, he started acting so fucking weird. Me and Leah are like giggling, like, what the fuck? And sometimes when things like that happen out in public, I'm like, what is going on with that person? And then I'm always reminded, like when I see somebody that I'm a fan of, and it makes me all nervous and shit. I'm like, oh yeah, now I think I know how that little dude at the Italian restaurant was feeling that day, you know? Because man, I'm gonna tell you what, I got off that interview with Eben Alexander, and I had to jump straight in the shower. I was fucking sweating and shit. Good times though, man. Anyway, the point that I was getting with that is, you keep doing shit like that over and over and over and over, and your brain will adjust. Your brain will adjust. Your brain will adjust. And eventually it'll get to the point to where it's like, oh yeah, this is just what I do now. I'm a different person now, So anyway, though, anywho, I'm probably going to go ahead and hop on out of here. Let's see. Let me look at my morning schedule here. First reading I got to do like now. And then I have one due at 9:30, 10:30, 1 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Damn dog. 6:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. Okay. 1, 2. I gotta at least knock out 3 of them back to back this morning, first thing. And then I'm gonna be outside working on my car. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get on out of here, y'all. Appreciate you for tuning in and listening to me blab and run my mouth. I will see y'all hopefully at some point later today on my main channel. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day.